Hello everybody, you're very welcome to NFL Projectatron, the prediction site with a difference. Today we are focusing on the all AFC South division clash between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. Rory, what can you tell us about this one?
I can tell you this game spells fun with a capital F-U-N and Bortles. Yes. Well, Tennessee and Jacksonville, it's always been a fairly heated rivalry, and it's always been a fun game to watch, even last year when both teams were terrible. And
which is a good omen for this year.
Yeah, it's a continuing trend. They gave us a great game in Tennessee where Jacksonville marched out 29-27 winners. That was a terrific game to watch. This year, Tennessee seem to have a bit more about them in that they have quarterback whisperer, that's TM, that's copyrighted, Ken Wisenhunt.
WizKid.
Yes, talking to, whispering to the quarterbacks.
Talking quietly to his quarterbacks there, yeah.
And getting them to perform generally pretty well. Jake Locker, when he's not hurt, is playing really well this season, but unfortunately he gets hurt very, very easily.
Yeah.
And Charlie Whitehurst came in last week and did okay. Got a couple of touchdowns. It wasn't enough against Hoyer the Destroyer. The Browns' incredible comeback with the aid of a few dodgy decisions, but they are coming up against a pretty ragged Jacksonville team who have no running game, a rookie quarterback, a terrible offensive line, terrible defensive line, terrible everything except wide receivers who might be injured for this game. Cecil Shorts and Cecil Shorts III and Marquise Lee are still, day to day. So it's kind of hard to say that the Titans won't win this, but it's just Jacksonville just have some sort of gusto about them. This sort of we don't care if we don't win. We're gonna play our game. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
which is what you do when you're the worst team in the league.
I think there's a lot of goodwill towards Jacksonville this year.
Definitely,
and last year actually.
Yeah, and especially we are coming from this side of the Atlantic. The fact that they're playing so many games in London over the next couple of years, that's going to earn them a lot of goodwill here. And I think a lot of people watching this probably want Jacksonville to win, myself included. I don't think they will. I think Tennessee are going to win this one. So it'll be about 21-14. There might be a field goal or two thrown in, but I'll stick with 21-14 to the Titans. Home victory
For the Titans. Yeah, coming off, as you say, that heartbreaking loss to and presumably confidence smashing loss to Cleveland. The biggest road turnaround in NFL history.
But what
we've been hearing all week. It was a great turnaround, but the Titans have a lot to answer for. I mean, they have a really solid receiving group now. They have Kendall Wright, who finally got across for touchdowns. Two of them last year equaling his total, two of them last week equaling his total from last year. Justin Hunter showed up with a big 99-yard game and a touchdown. Delaney Walker's having a great season. And even when Locker hurt himself, which is inevitable because it's Jake Locker, he went across for a touchdown himself, but then got hurt, and sure enough Charlie Whitehurst came in and still managed to throw 2 touchdowns. I think that the biggest problem for them is the same issue that's affecting the Jags, is they can't establish a running game. And when you look at what they have Sean Green. They let Chris Johnson go because he would have cost them an absolute fortune. That's fair enough. They brought in Bishop Sankey, who has been consistently outperforming Sean Green in yards per carry all season long. They have Dexter McCluster, who's in theory supposed to be this offensive weapon, a change of pace back who's going to give them a check down option, or they can use him in screen passes, and they're hardly using him at all. It baffles me that Tennessee's running game should be that poor, especially when they've invested so heavily over the last 2 or 3 years on their offensive line as well. More injuries this year mean that we're finally going to see draft pick Taylor Lewan, first rounder, is going to show up, and it'll be interesting to see if that makes any sort of a difference to the running game. I'm not certain it will.
It's only one player on the offensive line. I mean, that offensive line is okay. Locker getting hurt last week wasn't their fault, so to speak, but previously over the last few years it has been the offensive line's fault.
Exactly.
You have to protect a guy like that, and if they can't protect him, they're not going to be able to develop a running game. It's just, well, hopefully all the best will in the world to Taylor Lewan. Let's see. Let's hope he does well.
Absolutely, but it is worrying that you take an offensive lineman in the first round, high in the first round, and then you immediately bench him.
Yeah,
that doesn't bode well. But they spent money on in free agency as well, so it's understandable that he's behind a couple of veteran presences, and now he's going to get his chance to come out and shine. And while we're talking about offensive lines, we need to talk about the Jags' offensive line, because that is offensive in every sense of the word. It is unbelievable that they could be so bad. Because even if you look at it towards the tail end of last year, when they started out 0-8 and they were really, really terrible, and then they had that big game where they went ahead at Mile High against the Broncos, and even though they ended up losing, that was the kind of shot in the arm, the bit of confidence that the team needed to go on. What was it, after 4-4? I think they went.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point towards the end of the season. It was the first game they actually won last season was that 29-27 against the Titans, and they went on a run after that. You're right, and there was an outside possibility they could make the playoffs because they had so much confidence.
Because they had so much confidence, and because they're in one of the worst divisions in football last year. And the thing about it is, I think that this Jacksonville team seems to be almost the same way. The players are more or less the same as last year. They have lost Maurice Jones-Drew, who has shown in his sporadic displays in Oakland that it was no great loss. They don't have Justin Blackman, who was already gone anyway. And as you rightly point out, Marquise Lee and Cecil Shorts both struggling with injury, both unlikely to play. So Jacksonville, while they are missing Cecil Shorts and Marquise Lee, presumably for this game, almost definitely for this game, they do have in Alan Hurts and Alan Robinson two rookie wide receivers who have actually come in and performed really well, regardless of who's been under centre. So I think that they have options, but the real problem is the mess at running back. I mean, currently Toby Gerhardt, who was their big free agent signing, who everyone assumed was going to be the bell cow and carry the workload and really make a difference to this team, has just not been able to do it. I personally don't think that's entirely his fault. I think a large part of that is that if you look at what he did in Minnesota when he came in, largely what he was doing was breaking tackles and running through holes. But he was breaking tackles at the second level, so if you can't get to the second level and build up a bit of speed through holes, he can't break them. And now they've got him. They've got
Storm Johnson.
They've got Storm Johnson, possibly the best named running back in history.
He's up there, gotta be.
He's definitely up there. Storm Johnson. They've got Todman, who, I mean, we know what he is. He's just a roster player. And they've got a man who they listed as their own Dexter McCluster, their own offensive weapon, Denard Robertson, who has been equally unimpressive, really, as the change of pace back in Jacksonville. And their real problem is going to be that if they give up, as is entirely possible, one or two early touchdowns, they are not going to be able to get back into it. On the plus side, their offense has Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles, and as Roethlisberger described him as a young me, which is going to happen when you don't have an offensive line and you need to run all over the place to protect yourself. I mean, look, he was really, really impressive in college, and okay, he's had limited appearances so far, but it's hard not to like him. It's hard not to hope for big things from him.
What's been interesting is that in last week when Bortles came in, and the week before when he came in as well, the offense suddenly looks enthusiastic and looks dynamic. And I know there's a big worry about putting a rookie quarterback in behind that terrible offensive line, but he's not a simple pocket passer. So, like you say, he's able to break for
the big
scrambles and to keep plays alive himself. He's not Russell Wilson, but he has the ability to keep himself upright a little bit. So he's going to avoid taking a lot of the big hits. That line is definitely going to give up. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Frankly, I'm a little surprised you didn't put him in sooner. Chad Henney's been in the roster there for 3 years now. You know what you're getting.
I know, but he's never been the declared starter really until kind of halfway through last season when they finally gave up on Gabbert.
Yeah, which is fair enough. So I personally see this as a battle between two bad teams. I think that the Titans D, which looked really solid in the first game of the season, looked absolutely brilliant, and looked like it was going to be a difference maker in the AFC South has disappeared. They've completely abdicated, and the loss of Alteron Werner is now a glaring hole in their backfield. They're susceptible to big plays on every single play. And given that Jacksonville have a quarterback who's willing to throw the ball deep and two solid wide receivers, neither of whom are real kind of burners, but will have enough pace to get past the Titans D. I think that this is going to be a close game, but I'm giving it to the Jags, and I think it'll be pretty high scoring. I think you could be looking at something like 28-21, 28-24, something around that area.
Cool, excellent.
Titans, we know, can give up points. Jags just need to show that they can score them, and I think this might be the game where they do it.
Brilliant stuff.
What about Projectron?
Projectron says that this game is going to go 2019 in favour of the Jags, with Blake Bortles leading a final minutes charge down the field to get a field goal that wins the game. He does get tackled for a safety, but he gets 2 touchdowns, a couple of picks as well.
He's involved in all the scoring.
Exactly, yeah. Raise your Bortles, people. He's here. He's now. He is Jacksonville.
Okay, folks, there you have it. Rory is picking the Titans to win by a touchdown.
Yep.
I am going with the Jags to win by a touchdown or less, and Projectron agrees with me.
Yes, but it's going to be so tight.
It is going to be tight. We definitely see a close divisional game. These guys have a great rivalry. It's going to be a tight game, so if you're looking at margins, look small. And hopefully we'll see you later for our preview of another divisional matchup where the Giants go to the Eagles. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you then. Enjoy the football.